Brad Holmes has not missed much during his 4-year tenure as GM of the Detroit Lions. However, as Wayne Gretzky and Michael Scott sort of kind of said one time, you do miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Cornerback was really the only gap in Holmes' total draft haul or resume here so far in Detroit, if you want to call it that. It was also the position, if we really want to get down to it, that sort of cost the Lions the most in that championship game loss to the 49ers last season. And since Brad Holmes is like the first general manager in the history of the Detroit Lions to not run the franchise like an investment banker or some sort of like fantasy football manager, you know what I mean? Detroit did what it was supposed to in the draft. Again, it addressed a position of need twice early on in the draft. Alabama's Terrion Arnold, Missouri's Ennis Rakestraw. Got a handful of plays here from the Lions preseason opener against the Giants. Both guys played a little bit together. Both guys also got dinged up. Not supposed to be long-term, according to Dan Campbell, but we'll see what happens there. Hopefully both are healthy and moving forward soon. But both guys did get some time together against Malik Neighbors and Jalen Hyatt in that Giants game, so we're going to look at some of that stuff as well. Disclaimer, of course, I am not a coach. I obviously am not a former NFL player. I was not in the huddle. I don't know all the calls. We're just talking ball here, so, calm down. But a few things on Terrion before we get moving here. In terms of the complete cornerback package with regard to like general movement ability, ball skills, football IQ, tackling the whole shot, I thought Terrion Arnold was the best cornerback in this draft this past spring. Frankly, I thought he was a top 15 prospect. He and Quinyon Mitchell both. It was kind of splitting hairs on those guys. I thought they were both far and above the best cornerbacks in this draft. Both were, I thought, steals for Detroit and Philly. Terrion is not going to outsprint Jameson Williams goal line to goal line. Like, he's not the fastest guy on anybody's team. His speed is fine. I think he was a 4.5 flat guy at the combine. He did have a 1.52 10 split at the combine, though, which sort of speaks to his strength as an athlete, which is his explosion. Pretty great there at the 1.52. He also had a 6.69 three cone, which is pretty great. And most importantly, his jump scores were outstanding. Former basketball player who could play above the rim and all that sort of thing, too. Actually had a chance to play, I believe, at Alabama with Nate Oates, or at least talk to him about it. So a really good athlete who can get up in the air and football-wise can come out of a break with full explosion and get up to full speed as fast as possible. Ennis Rakestraw is similar to that, but Terrion, in terms of the athletic ability, just has more all over the place. I still thought Terrion was one of the smartest defensive backs in this class and probably one of the guys that coaches are going to want to coach the most. Played for Nick Saban, of course, at Alabama, likes hard coaching, can take hard coaching, which is really, really difficult sometimes in the NFL, especially for young corners, especially when you're playing for a guy like Aaron Glenn, who's going to be really demanding, but also is going to love you up if you do something right. I think that's going to be a great fit, not only with Terrion Arnold, but also with Ennis Rakestraw. One sides with Terrion would be is that his size is whatever. It's not great. It's not bad. It's 5'11", 190-ish. Speed is fine. It's not amazing long. His long speed is not great. Both he and Rakestraw had pretty poor flying 20s at the combine. I believe they actually had the same time. It was in the bottom 2 or 3 of all corners there. So long speed, not great in either situation. And the other thing too with Terrion is he didn't do a lot of press stuff at the line of scrimmage. Wasn't as physical maybe as some other guys would be. Was more of a motor cornerback. Obviously, he played opposite Kool-Aid McKinstry, who's bigger and longer and did a lot more of that stuff with his hands. So Bama didn't ask him to do a ton of that. He will be challenged more in that area physically at the line of scrimmage in the NFL. We'll see some of that actually in this video. And that's an area, just general strength gains is an area for Terrion. Younger guy, needs to get stronger and bigger, and that'll be something to look forward to for him as he goes forward. Rakestraw, meantime, for Missouri, I actually thought he would have been a first-round pick this year if he would have been able to stay healthy at all during his college career. 2 years ago, actually, was the only season, 2022, the only season he was fully healthy for a full year, and he was really good. He was really good in every spot that he played. It was just last year, I believe he missed 4 games with a groin, and then he had an ACL injury in 2021. So injuries were a big thing with him. Durability is a big thing with him. They say hurt guys stay hurt. Like, that's one of those things that, we'll see how that overcomes. They were very careful with him early in camp. They've sort of limited his reps. They haven't tried to overdo anything on him. So we'll see how all that holds up. But that's one thing. He does play very physical. He's a very, not reckless, but he will throw his body into things. And sometimes guys like that, they can get a little dinged up. So that's the biggest thing on him. He fell because of injuries. Otherwise, eye discipline, foot speed, recovery, jam, punch, like physicality, mentality, he's got all of it. Like, Rakestraw is one of those guys that's gritty and dirty and will do all the things, never out of a play, will run everything down. If he loses at the line of scrimmage right off the shoot, he can find a way to get back in it. He's just one of those guys. If you watched Missouri at all last season, that was their whole defense, was just like a really physical gnat that was just like constantly in your ear, but also could tackle you and knock you on your ass. Like, that's my favorite thing about Ennis. Underneath, he was one of my favorite corners to watch in the draft. When you get deep on him, it can be a problem, of course, because he doesn't have the great long speed. 2.59 on the flying 20 for both guys. So it's not exactly, sort of what you want there. But again, both guys, smart football players, tough kids, understand what's going on, and they're not going to crumble at a mistake. And I think that's the number one thing the Lions were looking for. Can we find tough players that are good athletes? In Arnold, I think he found an exceptional full package athlete. And Ennis, maybe a little less so, but the toughness, I think, makes up for it. But with all that said, let's get into it. We got Ennis Rakestraw up top here, Terrion Arnold at the bottom in the red, Ennis in the yellow. This is going to be a cover 2 situation, and with Ennis working against Jalen Hyatt, Terrion Arnold working against Malik Neighbors. Really good that both these guys got reps against Neighbors this week, or last week, whatever it was. Neighbors is going to be great right away this year. So here we go. You can see the cover 2. The safeties are coming out. See the corner drops, and then you've got James Houston here coming off the linebacker side as well. So for the corners, let's focus on Ennis up here first and see how he does against Hyatt. The goal in this cover 2 situation usually is going to be, again, I wasn't in the huddle, so I don't know every single responsibility, but normally you're going to want to get your hands on this guy and force him inside. You're going to want to funnel him in and help the guy above you, the safety over the top here, right? If he runs a go or whatever and gets around you and the safety doesn't have time to get up and he didn't do anything to slow him down, it's going to be really hard for that safety, obviously, to get there. So you're going to want to jam him as best you can and force him inside if you can. If he's demanding to go outside wide, the best thing you can do is still get something on him, get him to the sideline, then again, get yourself turned around, eyes back on the quarterback for your own responsibility, but also you're trying to help that safety as best you can. So here we go. Ennis at the top. This is going to come out here, and you can see right away. Hyatt gets him, but you saw there he gets his hands on him, and he gets himself turned around, right? So it's like not terrible, not perfect, but it's like it works. He got his hands on him here a little bit, slows him down enough. And you see the safety coming over a bit here. He's got him all the way to the sideline, and now we're turned around, and if anything comes down here in the flat, we've got it covered. You'd like to maybe get a little deeper, I guess, probably if you're Ennis right there on that one, right? But other than that, you can see his sort of recovery skills. He was a little late with his eyes there, right? He's looking at the quarterback, which is what he's supposed to do. A little late getting back. Hyatt's a really good athlete, gets around him, but I like the idea that he's still getting his hands on him and trying to force him to that sideline there. That's really good stuff. That's kind of his strength area down here underneath, being a smart guy, understanding what's going on. Here Drew Lock doesn't really see anything, and the whole thing kind of runs out of there and goes nowhere. So we'll go down to the bottom of the screen here. We got Terrion against Malik Neighbors. I remember we talked about earlier in the show here, early in the video, whatever you want to call this thing. Terrion is going to be challenged in the NFL in terms of press. He did not press a ton at Bama. The Kool-Aid did a lot of that. So he's going to be challenged right away here. We see a situation where, like we talked about, Neighbors is trying to get outside. You've got to get your hands on him as best you can. You didn't do any of that, right? Free release. So he's outside, and this is a problem right now, really. If Drew Lock is any kind of a quarterback, this is a touchdown or this is a big play because you can see Neighbors going to throw that hand up. This is his first route as a professional football player, and he's got the hand up. Give me the ball. Give me the ball. Everything else about this from Terrion is good. Like, the hips get turned here. Look how fast he gets turned around and gets himself going. He's covering a ton of ground. As you can see, he's gotten more depth there than Ennis did. And he did a nice job of getting back here to help this safety. And he's lucky that Drew Lock didn't see it. But, even in I'm leaving, right, you didn't do anything to slow him down. So he's at full gas right now, and this safety's in real trouble. So, these are things I think that we're going to see from Terrion throughout this video here, where it's like you just like to be a little bit more physical, and it's the same kind of thing as Ennis. You got to remember, first game, first anything, a little bit of nerves. He's going against one of the best players, in the draft class, the whole thing himself. He's a first-round pick, so you get all that. But I love how smooth of an athlete Terrion Arnold is, that he can sort of not do exactly what he's supposed to do, and then you really can't tell because he's still in sort of position to do something on that ball there. Like, it's not great here. He does get fortunate. Okay, fine. But, he's a really good athlete who moves well. He's smart. He knows what's going on. And I think that, he learns as he goes, and you can kind of see that as well. All right, next one here. Terrion again at the bottom. Ennis up top. I believe Terrion's got Jalen Hyatt. Ennis is going to get Neighbors. Just going to be a little RPO situation here where Ennis is going to more or less have a run rep. So let's just focus down here on Terrion. It's going to be a little bit of a man rep. And Hyatt's going to get him rocking a little bit to the outside, right? And we talked about earlier, not a guy who does a lot with his hands, so Hyatt's going to get him rocking a lot outside. Here we go. And now I'm in a little bit of trouble here, right? Because now my feet are too wide. I haven't lost my balance, but he knows where he's going, and I was sort of guessing. My hands aren't on him, and so it's just going to have to be complete athletic reaction from here. And again, like I said, the ball's already out, so it doesn't really matter. but he does a really nice job there getting back on the hip, I feel like. I mean, like it's not the cleanest man rep, but like he's never out of anything. That's what I love about him. He's never dead in the water. You didn't see a lot of reps from him where, and you see this a lot in like Senior Bowl situations or one-on-one situations where a corner will get so so tight and he's guessing and he's behind on the entire thing and it'll be like a thing where a guy shakes his shoulders and the dude will just fall down, right? Like we don't see any of that from Terrion. He's usually in full control of his body and all that. So, again, you'd like to see again a guy get a little bit more physical. Let's get in there with their hands and see what happens. But at the same time, second rep of his life, so it is what it is. Ennis at the top there, nothing really to get from that. He's going to be a tough guy to hand fight with, I would think. Next one's going to be man coverage on both situations across the board. Here's you got Ennis at the top, Terrion at the bottom. Let's actually focus on Terrion at the start here. Ennis is going to make an amazing play on this. Actually, no, screw that. Let's focus on Ennis at the top because he makes the best play on the. This is the best play either of them make on the whole situation here. So, like we said, he's got Jalen Hyatt's man coverage again. You're going to have the Rad player go down. Here it comes, and he does lose inside, right? Okay, so he loses inside right off the shoot, very quick, is what it is, like we just talked about with Terrion. You lost inside. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to fall down? Are you going to like sidewinder out and just like spit out and just like be on the ground? Or are you going to do something about it? So here we go. Terrion on his horse. I'm sorry, Ennis on his horse. Great angle, terrific pursuit, and there's the play strength. Driving him out of bounds, that is an outstanding effort play, an outstanding IQ play, and an outstanding recovery play. A guy that's just going to play the whole way through. There he goes for the middle of the screen. Great angle. He's over the top, going to come down, use my strength, and run through him. I don't care if I have to go into the field goal kicker thing, whatever. This is awesome, outstanding stuff from Ennis Rakestraw. This is why they drafted him right here. Not the best thing right off the shoot, but whatever. We're going to hang in and we're going to make something happen. That's Lions football defensively. They are not a perfect group by any stretch. The closest thing they have to a perfect player, they have two. They have Aleem McNeil and they have Aiden Hutchinson. And Aiden is probably closer to that than Aleem. Everybody else, and even Aiden has limitations. They're a scrappy group that has to overcome certain things and find ways to sort of hang in a fight and say, we're just going to outlast you. And this is just great stuff. So many corners in the league just give up something on that. And that's around the corner and a first down to a fast receiver. And there we go. Really good. I really like that a lot from him. Then to the top of this thing with, to the bottom of this thing with Terrion Arnold against Malik Neighbors here. Again, man coverage. And we're going to see a situation again where recovery is kind of going to be on display because this is Neighbors going to get inside. The safety's coming down to take here. But again, look how fast Ennis is opening up, staying on top. He gets on top of him, but Neighbors is, and we got the safety help here, so he's running him to the safety. But it's not so bad that it's out of control, right? Like you've seen corners here in Detroit that would have been a disaster about the 30, right? Look how fast he sort of stays with him here. Like it's not the cleanest thing you've seen off the shoot, but whatever. And I'm going to tell you right now, Malik Neighbors is a really good football player. So that is not a bum that he's running against down there. This one here again, Ennis at the top, right? Terrion at the bottom. Looks like Neighbors at the top with Ennis and Hyatt at the bottom with Terrion Arnold. These are just going to be some comebacks from both guys. Trying to get a little bit outside there. Here it comes. Man coverage again. Comebacks. So let's see how they handle these. Let's actually focus down here on Terrion first because I feel like he does a better job. Usually with these comebacks, they're not shuffling. Here we go. Good job. Stays on top of the route. Plays it top down. He's had cleaner ones than that, but that's, that's about what you want. We're not going to complain about that. Ennis at the top there with Neighbors. More challenging. Okay, he's on top of him. A little bit of a shuffle. Like, an NFL quarterback that's better than this is, maybe going to make that. But like the thing I love about Ennis, again, is that even if it's a little bit of a shuffle, like he's an arm's length away. This is not, he's in position to make a play. It's not going to be a disaster, right? And again, like we talked about, not asking you to just like completely take away everything that these guys do. We're just asking you to be a nuisance, get in the way, make things harder for the quarterback, cloud up the windows, and make the receiver work for it. And I think that's what Ennis Rakestraw is going to do. Terrion can be a guy, I think, in time that can carry with a really good number one, and maybe Ennis can too. But I think Ennis is going to be the guy that makes every other guy that he works against work for everything he gets. You're not going to get any freebies with him, and I think that's the best part of his game. Next one here looks like a Tampa coverage type situation. We have Ennis Rakestraw at the top, Terrion Arnold at the bottom. You can see James Houston here on the line of scrimmage going to flare back. This safety is going to flare all the way out. Other safety is going to come here, and the linebackers are going to fan. Let's focus at the top here with Rakestraw because I think this is kind of an interesting one. and how he's working against Neighbors again, and you're going to see the responsibilities, right? So this should be covered with Houston. Deep safety, again, like we talked about with the regular cover two, trying to force that thing inside, slow that down for the safety. He's got a long way to go here, and that's Malik Neighbors. So let's see how Ennis does. Let it run. Here we go. Inside. That works. He's got him inside. I mean, Neighbors kind of took himself inside, but at least if you're Ennis, you're in the way, hands on him. The safety's now in position at least to take away something that's right off a bang-bang type thing. So he's forced him inside. The one thing you would maybe argue there, or like nitpick if you wanted to, would say, let's get a little bit more of a bump on him there, right? Like he was in position to do something with him, make him slow down a little bit, or at least throw his momentum off a tad. That doesn't really happen. You're going to see the linebacker is going to carry with that seam route, and Neighbors is going to come open here. And that's going to be also partly because James Houston is sort of wobbly with his drop. Again, Drew Lock doesn't see it, and he takes off and runs, so it doesn't really matter. But if we run the other way back, you say, right there, maybe you'd like Ennis to get a little bit more of a, push on him to slow him down some. And then, of course, you'd like this guy to understand that he has the safety over the top and that he doesn't have to carry with this guy, so we got to come down, right? So, that's not necessarily Ennis's fault, I wouldn't think. I think they'd also have coaching points on Houston and 51 there, but not a perfect rep from Ennis either. One that, you learn from. But again, working against Neighbors, so it is what it is. Terrion and Jalen Hyatt, same situation. You want to force him inside, and no, we're not going to do that. He's going right outside again. I don't know what their coaching points on all this. It's just like I would think in time you're gonna tell him you're gonna need to be a little bit more physical at the line of scrimmage in some of these coverages, or it could be a little bit of trouble for these. We'll see, though. I don't know. Maybe this is what they're, is what it is. So because he does a good job always, as we see, of getting depth and staying ready to make a, he's in a football position constantly to make a play. Like he can make a play down here. He can still make a play on the ball up here. Like he's split in the middle. Like this is what he's always in position. So even if it's not perfect at the top, that's why, everybody, or at least I thought he was the top, overall cornerback prospect in the draft. There's just not a whole lot of what we would say is holes to his game, because even if he's not as physical as you would want right there, like he still, finds a way to get in position to make a play. So you don't hate that. Last one here, another Tampa rep. Again, Arnold at the bottom, Rakestraw at the top. We're going to see how they drop back here. And this time the linebacker's going to do a much better job of coming back and get some depth and taking that over route away and not going up the field. Here we go with Ennis at the top, Terrion at the bottom. You're going to want to force those routes are going inside. Ennis does a nice job of getting himself up there to make sure this thing gets inside. Safety is fine. Safety is fine. You've got help there too. Everybody does a nice job there. That looks covered. Again, like I said, the linebacker does a good job. Really good job there by Ennis of getting some depth, and he's in really nice position to make a play if that ball gets thrown. Like that's a pretty sound rep, and that's one of the last ones they had. So not bad. We just talked about James Houston, though. Watch this. Check this out. This is the one I was talking about. Go get him. He's really not in the best position on the drop, but whatever. Clean hit, too. Like, here we go. Let's see him drop all the way back. James Houston, then we'll wrap it up. Here he comes. Still figuring this out. I don't know where I'm going quite yet, but now I've got it, and you're in trouble. You are in trouble. Bam. Into the bench. Love it. James Houston, really fun player. Hope to see more of this season. Still looking forward to see more of Ennis Rakestraw and Terrion Arnold as well. Two really fun players. I think they're going to really fit everything the Lions are doing, especially with Aaron Glenn. And I think that just attitude-wise, these guys are exactly what you want if you're Detroit. Great value with both picks, I thought. So excited to see both of them and how they develop. And we'll talk to you later.